Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to do the next part of our color palette challenge in Wild Summer. And as a reminder, we are doing color palette number 12 from the color catalog. This is volume 1, I believe. Yep, volume 1. So we're doing this one. And today we are going to work on her. So we are going to do her skin today and her hair. I see some like little particles. Okay, so we're gonna work on her. Let's get started. Make sure I have my sheet behind because we are going to be using alcohol markers. As a reminder, with these color palette challenges, I allow neutrals, so browns, skin tones, grays, blacks, etc. So for her skin, I'm going to be using eggshell white in the Ohuhus. And it's kind of like a very pale peachy color. And notice that I haven't done the bird and her clothes because that's where those blues and greens are going to come in at. And in case I use, like if I use Prismacolor, I know it's going to smear, so I'm doing that last. So that's if I use Prismacolor. I typically don't like to use Prismacolor, and I don't like to use the colors that smear, but if I do use it, I want to be prepared. I want to make sure everything else is done first. So I'm just adding the base of the skin, and I'm not going to do too much shading. I'm not the greatest at coloring skin tones, so I'm not going to be too adventurous trying to figure out the exact lighting and things like that. So if you're following along and you feel confident coloring skin tones and you know what you're doing, I do not. So color it the way you color it. If you feel like you are much better at it than I am, because I'm not that great. I just kind of place in where I think the light and the shadows and stuff should go. It might not necessarily be correct, and I'm okay with that because it's just a coloring book. So as long as it looks good to me, I'm okay. And I'm just making sure I get all of that. All right. Now we're going to let that sit for a minute. Now for her hair, I have chosen Limeade in the Ohuhus. So we're going to have some green hair. And I'm just going to base it. Get that base down. And same goes for the hair. I am not an expert at coloring hair. I've had a little bit of practice. At one point, I was kind of practicing coloring like different color hairs. So it was like, you know, I think I did a green, a blue, a pink, a purple. But I never actually finished, but I did get some good practice in. But still, if you want to color it different, go for it. And that's if you're even doing the same page. You might be doing a different page with this color palette. Always take note when I do these challenges, guys, you don't have to do the same page because I know not everybody will have the same book. So if you are doing a different page and I'm like saying like, oh, you don't have to do the hair this way or that way, that applies to the people that are following along on the same page. You may be doing something totally different, which is cool too. And as a reminder, if you want to talk about your page, show me your pages, anything like that, that is what the Discord is for. You can share your pages over there. You can talk about them, talk about why you like them, why you don't like them if you don't, and things like that. Okay. So while that's drying, I also picked out a color for the wood and the fan. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to base that. And I've chosen the color sand. So we're just going to base the wood. Also, if you are following along on this page, comment down below and let me know what part you're on. You may or may not be on this part. Everybody colors at different speeds. Let me know if you're following along or if you're doing a different page with the same color palette. Because I know the mythographic books can be somewhat intimidating too, just like the Kirby books. And not everybody colors in these. So you guys are always welcome to do a different book with these palette challenges. Different book, different page, etc. All right. I also think, I would like to think that this part is wood too, but I know it's not because then it would have a hard time folding. So I opted not to do that part. But I am going to use the same brown for the tree, the little branch. And that's just because I don't want like a bunch of different browns. I kind of want everything to look cohesive. I'm gonna color these leaves also the same green. I might go a little bit darker on the green for the leaves because actually we have 2 different greens in this palette. So I might do that. You also don't have to follow the exact same color that I'm choosing for. So like for example, I chose green for her hair. You might decide to go with the blue, the red. You might decide to go black, gray, white. So you don't have to follow that either. But when I make suggestions, it's mainly for those that are following along. So know that. Okay. All right. Now we're going to work on her hair. And I'm just kind of going to go in and shade things a bit where I feel like they need to be shaded. It's not going to be anything too great. And again, that's because mainly I don't really color hair. I don't practice coloring hair. You're not going to see every strand. I've seen people color some beautiful hair. You won't typically see me sit here and color every strand. I color in bunches. So I just go where I feel like it should go, and that's that. You can also just like color certain areas. So if you don't want to do strand by strand by strand, you can just shade where you feel like wherever the hair is touching something else, You can just add shading there. You can do it that way. You can choose not to shade it and just leave it the way it is also. I know there are some people out there who's been practicing coloring hair, so I typically don't color a lot of people. I'm usually coloring like creatures and dragons and stuff like that, so it's not often that I even have to color hair, so that's why I don't practice it too much. You won't see too many, and then when I am coloring people, they're usually like super tiny because they're not like the star of the page, so you won't see it anyway too much. If I try to put all the work into the hair, you won't see it because the person is so small usually, or they're usually wearing like a helmet or something like that, so you won't even see the hair too much. But you know, if you just throw in like a few simple flickers here and there, you can get it to look pretty similar to hair, I guess. As you see, I'm just kind of going around putting it wherever. I'm not choosing really, just wherever each little bunch is different is where I'm adding a little bit. There's also shade lines in here. You can follow those if you like. Pick some at random or do all of them. It's up to you, really, how you want the hair to look. So it is Sunday. I hope everybody is doing good. I have a couple of videos to record, and then I'm just going to enjoy the rest of my day. I do have to go back to work tomorrow, so I won't be doing anything too crazy today. I'm going to make some pasta, and that is what dinner will be for the rest of the week. And when I say week, I mean like my work week. And then that's it. I'll probably play some Disney Dreamlight Valley today. I don't know if I'm going to stream any games today. I want to start streaming games on Sunday again, but since I got sick, I've just been like kind of drained. So I've just been trying to get back to 100%, and it's so hard. Like whenever I feel like I'm getting better, it's like here comes something else. So I still haven't made it to the post office. Everything's all nice and packaged and by the door, and it's like, whew. And I'm gonna make that walk one of these days. You guys are so patient. I appreciate it. And understanding how I've been sick and struggling. But I am doing everything to get better. The cough is almost gone. I would like to think I'm not coughing every 5 minutes. The issue now is, or well, it's always been, is when I walk, I get kind of winded. So it's taking a minute to get back to 100%. So, and then it's like when I get a little bit of energy, it has to go towards work. So, but I am feeling a lot. I mean, when I was first originally sick, I was like, I had nothing. I couldn't do anything. I was just done. But I do feel a lot better. Just not 100% yet. But I'm getting there. So, and thanks for all who have been checking up on me and making sure I'm still, over here and getting better and doing the things I need to do to get better. I appreciate it. Even if this is just a simple, how are you doing? Are you feeling better? I really appreciate all of those. So thank you. You guys are awesome. So back to the page. So as you can see, I'm just kind of throwing in this green. I'm not even really thinking about where I put it, and it's still kind of working out. So I don't hate it, which is good. It looks good. I like it. It looks shiny. It looks like hair, so I'm gonna roll with it. And again, this is just a coloring book, so you don't have to be like, oh, it's not perfect, or I'm sure your pages look fine. You can even, if you like, you can go in with an even darker one for some of these deeper shadows, like, and you don't have to, but it just kind of brings in, like underneath this flower, for example, if you want to just bring that out a little bit. Just at the very ends. You don't really have to, you don't have to do it in all the areas, but like right here where the hair kind of like meets in that part, you can put some there. You can put a little bit down here, here, here. Just like where the hair is kind of the thickest, I would like to think you can put some of this darker green, but it's not really needed. And that's just kind of depends on if you want to go all extra. You don't have to. The light green is really nice by itself. And don't put too much of this because we don't want her hair to be dark green. It's supposed to be light green. This is just shadows that we're adding. I can't wait to start the neon one. The neon color palette. I've never tried to color something like glowing neon, so that's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be funny is what it's gonna be. I know it's gonna be funny, but that's the purpose of it. And I think I'm just gonna make it like kind of long videos, maybe. I'm not sure. It might just be like a color and chat type of thing, and we figure it out together. And by we, I mean my Ko-fi members. Something a little special for them to watch me struggle a little bit. All right, so that's the hair. And you see how it just kind of all tied together. And then if you want, you can come back in with this lighter one and kind of just blend it. But you don't really need to do this part because the lighter one is the exact same color as your highlights. So you're just kind of going over the darker areas with it so it doesn't look too patchy. But that's up to you. You don't have to do it. I do have some patchy areas, so I'm just kind of hitting them a little bit. All right, now I'm going to take a brown and I'm going to do some shading on these parts here. And I'm just using brown ochre from the Polys. And this is like the fan, so you don't really have to add too much to this either. Just a little bit. Sometimes not everything needs shading, if I'm being honest. Sometimes you can just leave things flat or a little bit of flat. I know some people who don't do any shading at all and their stuff looks really good still. So you don't have to do any shading if you don't want to. You can leave, if once we put the base down, you can leave it at that. Pick one or two marker colors and leave it just like that. It does not have to be everything needs a shade, everything needs a shadow. Like, no. Mm-mm. And then these little pieces here, I'm just going to come from the side and lighten it up as I get towards the middle. And see, I'm only shading with one color. You don't need multiple. You can if you want a really deep shadow, but you really don't need to. I am shading with one color. I'm going dark and coming light towards the middle. That's it. You only need one pencil for that. Now, if for whatever reason you want your shading to be darker, grab a slightly darker brown and do it that way. But you don't need it. Anything that's under her hand, I'm just kind of doing dark because her hand is kind of covering it. Okay, so boom, there's that. Now, for her skin, I want her to remain kind of pale. So I'm just going to grab, I have light flesh and cinnamon. And again, I'm not doing anything too crazy. I am just coming in a little bit. This might be, I might need this might be too pink. We'll see. No, it's okay, because we're only putting a little bit. Because like I said, I want her to kind of remain pale. So we're just having a little bit just to kind of bring out the shadows. Not a lot of this. You can even do a brown, like that brown ochre we had. I might bring some of that in just to dye down some of this pink. Because I don't know if pink is a good choice. I should have went with like a peach or like a brown. So to tone it down, you can bring in a little bit of brown and put right on top of that pink. And it'll tone the pink down to like a brown. And see, it tones it down just a bit, so it's not pink, and it's more of like a brown shade. And then you can bring in like, so for example, because I went with like a not really a pink color, instead of cinnamon, you can go with, if you are using, because I know you guys use Prismacolor, so let me grab the Prismacolors. You can go with so the Prismacolors has like a beige. You can go with something like that and put that over it instead. If you don't want to just go brown, you can go beige and throw it on top. And that'll kind of blend it out. Or you can just start with the beige. That works too. So if it's too dark or if it's too pink and you want to tone it down, just grab like a brown or a beige. We're not doing like a ton of shading or anything, so just keep it very simple because I want her face to remain kind of pale and bright. Those two don't even go together, pale and bright, but I mean, like, I want it to look like as if it's like glowing. So I'm not even gonna touch this middle area at all. And as you can see, there's like, you see the shading, but it's not too out there. And for her hands, I'm just going to do a little bit of shading here as well. Not too much. I'd like to think she's just kind of a very pale person. And then once we tie in the blue, it's gonna roll all together nicely. I am gonna put a little bit of shading here because her hand is kind of bending a little bit. And any noise you hear, that is the wind. Once again, it's taking over the city, so that is what you hear. I'm gonna add a little bit of brown on top of that pink. And I mean like a very, very light touch of this brown. Very, very light, almost to where you don't even see it. But you see it, cover it just enough to where the pink kind of disappears. That's what you want here. At least that's what I'm going for. And then tie it in with the beige. And notice I didn't even bother sharpening the Prismacolor because I didn't want it to break. For those that are wondering why I didn't sharpen. And sometimes you don't even need a sharpened pencil, especially for like big areas and stuff where you're just covering a lot of area. You don't need it. All right, and then we're going to do this one here. So same thing, I'm coming in with this light flesh color from the Polys. And then I'm coming in with my very tiny brown ochre, putting a little bit over the top of that pink. Remember, just enough to know that the color is changing. And then bringing in your beige. You can also use the beige to cover any like little patchy areas if you have any, because it's kind of the same color as the Ohuhu base we put down. It's just slightly darker, so you can go over the patchy areas super light like that, and it'll cover it without making it too dark. So there's her skin. We did her skin, her hair, the trees here. The only thing we have left is the bird on the fan, you know, the flowers. So now we have to incorporate some of those blues and greens. So we will do that in the next part. But here's what we have so far. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you are enjoying these series, hit the like button. That will let me know if I need to make more or if I need to stop and do something else. So I would like to see at least 20, 25 likes. That'll let me know, okay, you guys are enjoying these videos. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.